Hey, Book Dragons. I'm so glad you're here with me today. I recently did a post where I asked for unpopular bookish opinions from all of you. And we are talking about those unpopular opinions today. And I'm really excited to see what you guys came up with. So let me get my eyes on. I have a list of all the unpopular opinions that people sent me. And I did poll a few other friends as well outside of the YouTube community. So there's a couple of those in here. But we are going to get right to it. So the first of these unpopular opinions is from William at Williams Library. And he says authors should never publish short stories, especially those set in a larger book series universe, in obscure periodical magazines, unless they promise to bind it in a combined volume no more than a year later. Older short stories from past periodicals ought to be republished in a book, maybe as an appendix to a new novel. You know, William, you're actually right. And maybe that's unpopular, but I think it's actually a really good idea because I'm often wondering if I'm missing out on things just because there's all these different short stories scattered in different anthologies all over the place. And so, yeah, it would be nice to have those all collected, especially if it's connected to a larger universe. Like the Dresden Files, for instance, has several short stories that are published in different anthologies that aren't part of the core Dresden Files book series. And it would be nice to have those all together in one place. So I agree, William. It's frustrating for readers, but I can see where that would be unpopular for publishers or authors, even because, anytime they get a chance to publish a short story, they're probably going to jump at that chance. But I think for readers, it's very frustrating to not be able to access all of those. Like, I don't always want to buy an anthology just for one story, right? Granted, there may be other good stories in there, but, if I'm just going for one story, I'd rather just have that in one volume from the author themselves. So, you're on the right track there, William. I like it. All right, the next one is from Josh Yaks. Hi, Josh. I've been banging Miss Drum for a while, not because I want to hate on the fantasy genre, but because I love it and want to see it do better. My opinion is that the stereotype of fantasy fiction being poorly written is true much too often, though I see this as being more of a problem with editors than authors. I wish I didn't have to spend so much time in my reviews of fantasy books or novels showing examples of poor writing that detract from the story being told and the themes being explored. Wow, yeah, that is a really great thought there, Josh. There is a big problem, I think, with editing, or at least with some editors, right? Some editors just don't pay a lot of attention to what they're putting out, and I find that to be the case, especially when it's a really big name, and that this person is making them all that money, so they just kind of put a rush job on it. Maybe I don't know if that's the case, but you're not wrong. Sometimes there's a lot of things that get missed, and then the readers end up getting it, and it's like, wow, okay, that didn't really fit too well, or that could have been condensed more, things like that. So yeah, thanks for sharing, Josh. Jay over at A Contemplative Reader says the demise of mass market paperbacks is a bad thing for books. I'm much more likely to try out a book by an unknown author for $10 rather than $20 or more for a trade paperback. Ooh, good one there, Jay. Yeah, I'm actually sad that mass market paperbacks are kind of going by the wayside as well. I have quite a few mass market paperbacks. It's the easiest format to take with you and things like that. I even made a video a couple years back about the pros and cons of mass market paperbacks, and I wish they were around more now. It seems like publishers are really going away from that. So, yeah, good point there, Jay. All right, so we're going to move on. Jose from Jose's Amazing Worlds says Brandon Sanderson is overrated. Oh, Jose, that's a spicy one right there. But I kind of have to agree. I've read everything in the Cosmere, and it's fine, but I do think he's a little bit overrated. I'm surprised you didn't elaborate there, my friend, but that's totally okay. I get it. So, unpopular opinion for sure with the Brandon Sanderson fan base, probably, but you're safe with me. Nicole from Nicole's Bookish Nook says there's nothing wrong with writing and reading books for fun or entertainment. Yeah, I love to write. I am a writer. I've published some books, but I'm not necessarily trying to write books as a business. I'm just writing to get my stories out and have fun, and maybe a few other people enjoy them as well. And same with reading. Reading is a fun hobby, and I make videos about it because I like to talk about books, but when it becomes a chore or a job, that's when it becomes less fun, right? So definitely keep the fun in reading and writing. I agree, Nicole. Jay, at a contemplative reader, has another one here for us. He says more authors, including indie or self-pub authors, need to regularly write short stories, and there needs to be more published short story collections. Yeah, I can see that. I think it's harder for indie authors to get short stories out there because if they're unknown, a lot of people won't read the short stories maybe, but I would like to see more short stories from indie authors as well. So, yeah, I think it's more difficult for indie authors to do that, but it's good. That's a good one. All right, now here's a really spicy one, guys. Okay, Elliot Brooks from Elliot Brooks. You guys probably follow her channel. And she says, Simon in the Dragonbone chair is among the least compelling protagonists. I found myself wanting anyone else to be the main character simply to escape his incessant whining, his endless stupidity, and his constant selfishness. That is definitely a hot take. Probably a very unpopular opinion. A lot of people love The Dragonbone Chair by Tad Williams, Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. And so, that's an unpopular one, but I have not read the series myself. I only know from other people what it's like, and she and I have talked about this in depth, and I can kind of see her points on that. And thank you for participating, Elliot. Jenny Parks. Don't know if this counts, but I will always watch an adaptation first and then go back and read the book. I find it harder to get angry at the adaptation that way and then only get disappointed if it has been done poorly, which is unfortunately too often lately. Yeah, a lot of times adaptations are done really poorly, and that is very unconventional. Not a lot of people will watch the adaptation before the book, so that's cool, Jenny. But there have been a few adaptations where I've watched the adaptation before I read the book, and it kind of enhanced my experience, to be perfectly honest, because in some cases you find the story to be so much more compelling once you know how bad the adaptation is. It's not always the case, but sometimes. So, yeah, definitely unconventional, but I like that one, Jenny. Thank you. All right. Samwise from iSamwise says, I like the tall, skinny paperbacks. I do too, Samwise, but we are definitely in the minority, my friend. Those are you've probably seen them. They're mass market paperbacks, but they're like skinnier, and they're definitely taller than normal mass market paperbacks. I'm not seeing it as much anymore, but it was a trend there for a year or two, and I saw a lot of people complain about the design of those and how they didn't match other books on their bookshelves. So I don't think it was really popular with readers, but I don't mind them. I'm not necessarily a big proponent of having a particular size. So thanks, Samwise. I appreciate it. All right, Jay from a Contemporary Reader has another one for us. Traditional fantasy tropes are good for the genre. In particular, I hope the farm boy turned hero trope makes a big comeback. And if you've read my channel bio, you know why I think that. Definitely go read Jay's channel bio. It's amazing. He has a great channel. All of these channels that have contributed to this are really great. But yeah, I do get a little bit tired of the farm boy trope, but I see the benefit of it in the experience of reading. I see the benefit of it for building a story. And so I wouldn't be unhappy if it made a comeback. It's not my favorite trope, but I definitely think it's tolerable for me personally. And that is an unpopular opinion, though. Yeah, for sure, because uh, one of the most hated tropes that I see people talk about is the farm boy trope. So, yeah, that's a spicy one. Alyssa from Hartwild's Library says romantasy books should be shelved in the romance section, not the fantasy section, because they follow the romance genre rules far more than they do the fantasy ones. Example, they are extremely lazy with their fantasy world building. I wouldn't know because I haven't read any romantasy and I don't think I ever will. But from what everybody has said that I've heard, that is definitely the case. The world building is really lazy and it's mostly there for the romance. A lot of romantasy readers are going to find this unpopular, but I think it's a good way to do it because if people are looking for more romance and they find a romance fantasy, maybe that introduces them to fantasy. So putting that in the romance section would probably be a good idea. But yeah, they seem to put anything with fantasy elements in it in the fantasy section, and I don't know. The parameters for the fantasy section are very broad, apparently. All right, we're moving on to another one from Samwise over at iSamwise. He says, there are times when I prefer mismatched book sets. It gives a shelf more character. I had to think about that one for a minute because you're right, it does give a shelf more character. A lot of people want very uniform shelves and want the same sizes of books on their shelves and everything to be matching. And I get that as well. I do some of that on my shelf. So definitely a matter of preference for sure. And that probably is unpopular with some people. But I like quirkiness on my shelves too, Samwise. So thank you. My one of my roommates, Julian, says Hunger Games is overrated and just an American ripoff of Japanese battle royale. And yeah, that's probably an unpopular opinion. Hunger Games is a very popular book series and TV show, and of course now we're getting prequel books for it. So that is an unpopular opinion. But I can definitely see the inspirations, at the very least, from Battle Royale in Japan. And I'm sure that is where that comes from, in part. Definitely some inspiration there. All right. Mona Lisa from Mona Lisa Reads says, spice isn't needed in YA books. That's going to be an unpopular one, especially with a lot of YA readers. I would say that, if you polled YA readers, they're probably going to say just the opposite. They at the very least they want some romance in their YA books, and they probably enjoy the spice as well. But I get where you're coming from. It's kind of that fine line because depending on how young the reader is, You don't want to open their eyes too wide, right? So I get that, but I don't think that's really going to go away. A lot of older teenagers and younger people on the adult spectrum, like 21, 22, they like spice in their books. So yeah, that's probably an unpopular one. Jenny Parks again. She says romantasy needs to stop contaminating the fantasy genre. Oh, okay. So yeah, another one talking about romance in the fantasy section. Most of the books have really poor world building. Plots and character development, and even the romances are rarely done right. Looking at you, Fourth Wing. Oh, there's a good dig. They give fantasy a bad name, and people end up with the wrong expectations when they go into regular fantasy novels. You make good points there. You and Alyssa over at Hartwild's Library should talk, apparently, because you guys are kind of both on the same wavelength there. But yeah, I think it does give people undue expectations when they go to regular fantasy novels. So yeah, you're not wrong. So moving on to Mary over at BookBuds. The Bone Witch was just blah, and that's a book by Rin Chupeco, by the way. Bone Witch was just blah. I wanted to love it. The beginning, accidentally raising her brother from his dead bones, was awesome. Everything after, blah. Boring. Makes me not want to read more of this author, and definitely not continuing the series, which is so not like me. So, yeah, that's unfortunate, because sounds like you're a completionist, Mary, and you wanted to love the series, but you didn't, and that's frustrating. It is a popular series from what I understand. So yeah, that may be an unpopular opinion, but you want the book to continue to get better, not to get worse, right? So I get where you're coming from. Alyssa over at Heart Wild Books again says, if you brag about not reading male authors, you are just as bad as male readers who brag about not reading female authors. Male authors come in all ethnic backgrounds and sexual or gender backgrounds, and writing them all off isn't very diverse. Yeah, writing someone off just because of their gender is bad in either direction. Male, female, gender nonconforming, no matter who the author is, if the story is good, it shouldn't matter what gender they are. But there are a lot of people out there that do that. They write off books from a certain gender. I definitely see where you're coming from. All right, my friend Tracy. I actually kind of like a good love triangle if done well. I've never written one, but have been tempted to. But the vocal whining about it online has stopped me. I should write one now. that That's good. I would love to see you write one, Tracy. I think that would be great. Yeah, love triangles are definitely unpopular, it seems like. I can see the appeal for them as well. And so, if you enjoy your love triangles, then go for it, I say enjoy it to the max, and a lot of people talk down about it, but I definitely think it has its place in books. We are moving on to Samwise again over at iSamwise. You shouldn't rate or review indie books any different than trad published books. Treating them with kitty gloves is unfair to all parties. I completely agree. There does seem to be a trend of going easy on indie authors, and I do think that does everyone a disservice, because readers like to read good books, and if authors are not writing good books, then they need to improve their craft. And I definitely think that there needs to be honest, informative reviews so that indie authors can do better and find ways to improve and things like that. So yeah, that was really good, Samwise. I agree. All right, Mary from BookBuds again. Sarah J. Maas. Okay, here we go, guys. Sarah J. Maas. Gosh, people love her. She's very hit or miss for me. I love the ACOTAR series, but I've tried 2 other series of hers and haven't completed them. This is very unlike me. I swear I'm like Sheldon. I have to complete things. Even one of them, I DNF'd the first book, but later forced myself to give it another shot and just hated it. And that was Crescent City, apparently. The other I tried of her was Throne of Glass, #1, and it was just okay. I was a bit bored, so not motivated for two, for the second book. People spoke so highly of it that I made myself go back for book 2. It was just more of the boring story. Ugh, I will not go back for the final 3 through 7. Better books are out there waiting for me. Yeah, I totally agree. If you're just not clicking with a series, then just don't continue it. And I've heard so many mixed reviews on Sarah J. Maas's books. She has an enormous fan base. A lot of people love her books. I've never read them, so I can't really say. But my gut feeling is they're overrated and they wouldn't be my cup of tea. I have other friends in the book community that feel the same way, like Mary apparently, and I trust their judgment. So yeah, that's really frustrating though when you want to be part of a fan base and a community that talks all about the books and then you just don't enjoy them. And that is an unpopular opinion because a lot of people love Sarah J. Maas, but dare to be different, Mary. Dare to be different and find books that work for you. All right. The next one here is again from my friend Tracy. I like evil villains that are pretty much just evil, like a good old-fashioned Umbridge. And if you're not familiar with that, that's Dolores Umbridge from the Harry Potter series. Just a positively evil woman in every sense of the word. And it is really cool to have villains, classic villains that are just plain evil. And it's an unpopular opinion because a lot of people like nuanced villains and morally gray villains, and I get the appeal for those as well. I think they're great. But I do kind of miss just classic villains that are dastardly and the evil laugh and everything like that, and they're just out to get the protagonist. And there's something to be said about that. Like, I miss the original Darth Vader before they made the prequels and everything and softened him up a bit. I'm like, I like the classic Darth Vader. He was just menacing, intimidating, ultra powerful. Yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, I'm with you, Tracy. I share your unpopular opinion. All right, and the final one. We're ending on a high note here, guys. The final one is from my other roommate, Ian, and he says that Harry Potter is a blatant ripoff of the books of magic. And if you're not familiar with the books of magic, they were a graphic novel series originally written by, or co-created by Neil Gaiman and someone else. I can't remember the guy's name. If I find it, I'll put it up here on the screen. But yeah, it was a very, very starkly similar idea to the Harry Potter books. And it predated the Harry Potter books. And you definitely have to wonder if it wasn't a ripoff. But I don't know if anything will ever happen about it. So I heard that there had been a lawsuit back in the day and it never went anywhere. So yeah, a lot of people love Harry Potter. And it may have ripped off another older favorite. So we are you can hear the cats trying to get in the door and everything like that. So that was perfect timing. We're going to go ahead and end it there. And let me know what you thought about these unpopular opinions. And maybe I'll do this again. Would you guys like to see this again? Maybe I'll do it again and have some more fun. So until next time, guys, make sure you are reading more books, and I will talk to you soon.